You were at the one for President Bush.
I was.
Thiessen.
I was, yes. We were welcomed back by President Obama, and President Bush actually wrote his own speech, which as a former presidential speechwriter, I took great offense at.
How could he?
Going to put us out of business if presidents start writing their own speeches.
All right, let's get back to what we were going to talk about
Sure.
with you, and that is that allegations that the California Teachers Association was spying on a parent group. We found out about this through emails that were sent from a woman named Ann Swinburne, who's with the CTA, to various parents who were involved in schools. Swinburne writes, quote, I am a researcher with CTA and am currently doing some research into various reopen groups around the state. These are groups that wanted to get kids back in school. York Chang gave me your contact information and said, you have lots of information regarding the Parent Association, which was one of the parents' groups. One of the parents writes back to other parents, at least, please see the below emails from Ann Swinburne of CTA. She is researching Parent Association and would like to partner with us to share information. York mentioned that they are looking to uncover some of the ideological leaning of the groups that are funding the reopened lawsuits. The allegation was from Swinburne that there were a lot of right-wing groups that were funding these parents who were trying to, overcome any effort that the teachers had to keep schools closed. That this is kind of reminiscent of the letter that Merrick Garland sent out about teachers, or parents rather, in Loudoun County.
Very much so. I mean, this is the problem with the teachers' unions, is the teachers' unions always put the interests of grown-ups ahead of the interests of kids. And that's the opposite of what we need right now. I mean, she said in that email that those parents' groups want to burn down the public schools. They didn't want to burn down the public schools. They wanted to open the public schools. The schools might as well have been burned down because they weren't teaching anybody. And you've got this new Gallup poll just came out. 42% of Americans parents are satisfied with public education. That's lower than Joe Biden's approval rating. The school closures, we learned, have wiped out 2 decades of progress in reading and math for kids, and particularly hit are kids in poor schools, minority kids in poor school districts. One study showed that they have a 25% reduction in lifetime earning potential because of the reading losses and the math losses and the learning losses. That's outrageous. And now we got in Seattle teachers going on strike. I mean, the last thing these kids need is to have any educational delays. The teachers' unions do not care about kids. They only care about grown-ups.
Well, and it's also an issue that's not going away, right? Yeah. As much as Virginia or California might wish for parents to not have much of a say in the education their kids receive in public schools, the reality is Google just unveiled is that education was the #1 searched political issue of the last year.
Yeah.
That's very hard to avoid.
And
you can launch investigations, you can spy on the parents. The angst and the interest is not going away.
Parents are never going to stop caring about their kids. It's just that simple. And look, the problem that you have is you have these minority kids in poor school districts who have suffered the worst learning losses. They're the ones who are trapped. We've had 2 million kids leave the public school system. That's because affluent parents can afford to take their kids out, put them in private schools, put them in parochial schools. They have alternatives. It is only the poor kids who are trapped. And that's why Governor Doug Ducey in Arizona just passed the most sweeping school choice legislation in the country. Every Arizona family can get $6,500 per kid that they can spend however they want on their kids' education, whether it's to send them to a private or parochial school or for tutoring or whatever their needs are. That's a model for the country. We have to take education dollars out of the hands of the teachers' unions and the bureaucrats and put them in the hands of parents.
I want to ask you about another big issue facing California, and that is the lack of electricity, particularly in the face of this electrical vehicle mandate. And a lot of people say, oh, don't worry about this. It doesn't happen until 2035. No, it begins in 2026. 35% of all new cars have to be electric. We have Michael Schellenberger, who was the author of San Francisco and is a energy expert on Last Hour. Here's what he said California needs in terms of electrical generation to meet the mandate. Listen here.
You would need 20 more nuclear reactors, the size of the reactors at our nuclear plant. It's called Diablo Canyon. Or 10 full-size nuclear power plants the size of it in order to generate sufficient electricity to power 30 million cars and trucks. It's not like that energy to power electric vehicles comes out of the sky. It doesn't just come out of the outlet. It has to be produced by power plants.
He is arguing that California's current electrical and even projected electrical capacity is nowhere near enough to meet the electric vehicle mandate.
I know, and here's the problem. So John Kerry went to the COP26 conference and said that the Biden administration's policy is no coal plants in America within 8 years by 2030. No coal at all. The Problem is that wind and solar renewables aren't there ready to it because you can't store wind and solar energy. There are no commercially available batteries to store it. So if there's no wind and no sun, there's no electricity.
I chuckle also because of that picture that we showed earlier today of the coal miners pushing the electric grid.
Exactly. You know, so they're pushing to get rid of a reliable, cheap source of energy when they don't have a replacement yet. If you have a replacement that is cheap, reliable, you know, at that, then most people would be perfectly willing to go with it. And the problem is the hallmark of a free society is cheap and abundant energy. If Jillian knows, if you look at a satellite picture of the Korean Peninsula at night, you have the south is awash in light, and the north is in complete darkness. And same people, same natural resources, different political system. When top-down government tells people how to run their lives, you have darkness. When you have free society and with cheap, abundant energy, then there's light. And we're getting to the point where parts of California are going to look like North Korea.
Yeesh. All right. Well, Mark, we could talk to you all afternoon, but we got to leave it there, unfortunately.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be on with you. Both of you on set. This is awesome.
Good to see you, too. And thanks for some personal reflections on the unveiling of the portrait.
My pleasure.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson tonight.